We are back tonight with another edition of Logician Tim Learns. With me, your host, Logician Tim. That's right, that's me. And tonight we're going to be diving right into the book and talking about character creation and a little bit about some of the mechanics inside of this RPG. The character creation in The Witcher is broken up into 7 different steps, okay? So first you're going to pick your race. Then you're going to run what they call as a life path. And thirdly, you're going to pick your profession. Then you're going to pick your statistics. You're going to select pickup skills. You're going to get your coin, get your cash, and then finally you're going to outfit yourself. And so I'm going to be kind of going through all these 7 steps. And that begins with your race. And so race plays a big role in the world of the Witcher. It determines both your special abilities as well as how the average person sees you. So the race that you pick will definitely have an impact on your game. But each race has its own what they call social standing. So I think of this almost like a faction system like they had in EverQuest. So, they have this cool little chart here. I know it's kind of hard to see. And it tells you what your standing will be if you're in this location. Okay? So, you're going to be either equal, tolerated, feared, or hated. If you're equal, you're seen as peers with those around you. That makes sense. You don't take any type of penalties to social interactions, but you also don't gain any bonuses either. So people are going to usually judge you just based on your appearance alone. So if you look, crazy, and if you got scars all over you and you look really weird, then people are going to treat you really weird. If you look, like a businessman or a businesswoman, then people are going to treat you that way. If you're tolerated, you're not really respected or considered equal. And that does have some penalties to it. And you are actually -1 to seduction, -1 to charisma, persuasion, and leadership in those areas. Okay, so if let's say you're an elf, and let's look at one of these. If you're a Witcher and you're in Dol Blathana, you are tolerated. And so you get a -1 to seduction, charisma, persuasion, and leadership while you're in that city. If you're feared, so you have equal, tolerated, feared, which is you're considered frightening to everybody. That makes sense. You can only gain this feared status, social standing, if you're a Witcher, if you have like some horrible scarring all over you, or if the GM allows it, they say that you can gain the feared status if by some of your actions. Let's say you're just a really horrible person. If you're slashing up the townsfolk, then you can actually gain that feared social status. And so if you're feared in a location, you gain +1 to intimidation. Makes sense. And you get a -1 to charisma. Okay, yeah, that makes total sense to me. The last of the 4 social standing is hated. You're actively despised by most people. You're not necessarily an outcast per se, but you're often the target of racial aggression and hate crimes and those type of things. In those areas where you're hated, you get a -2 to seduction, charisma, persuasion, and leadership. Now, when you're picking your race, you have the options to pick, Witchers, elves, dwarves, human, and each one comes with its own perks. So a Witcher gets enhanced senses. So a Witcher's going to get +1 to awareness and the ability to track things by scent alone. Okay, because a Witcher's highly trained in these tracking down of the monsters. They also get resilient mutation because they've suffered these mutations becoming Witchers. They're immune to diseases and also are able to use what they call mutagens. And I'll talk about those at a later time. They also have dulled emotions, which means that they do not have to make courage checks when somebody's trying to intimidate them. They're like, no, you can't intimidate me. And they also get a -4 to empathy because they really don't care what you got going on. They've kind of, that empathy's been taken out of them with all their years of training. They also get lightning reflexes, which is a +1 to reflex and dexterity. So those are the perks of becoming a Witcher, just by the racial perks alone. Now, if you choose to be an elf, they have their own set of perks as well. So they're very artistic, so they get a +1 to fine arts. They also are skilled in marksmanship, so they get a +2 to archery. And they can actually, it says that they can draw a string and bow without taking an action. And then they have natural attunement, so they're like one with nature. They don't disturb animals, so naturally beasts are considered friendly to them unless provoked, right? So like if you see a bear, it's going to be friendly with them unless he, jacks with it, right? And then they'll also be able to automatically find any plant substance that they're looking for, as long as it would be naturally kind of occurring in that area. But they're like, hey, I'm looking for this, and it's in this area. He'll just automatically find it. You can choose to be a dwarf. And dwarves are naturally tough, right? They have thick skin. They've lived up in the mountains. And so they have a natural stopping power of 2. So they get that extra +2 on their stopping power, what they call SP. And I'll be going over this tomorrow in the combat section. And then they're also very strong. So they get a +1 to physique. And they also get to raise their encumbrance by 25 because they can carry big loads, right? They're big and strong and kind of low to the ground, so they got that low center of gravity. They're also very crafty in business. They have a good eye for things. So they get a +1 to business. So dwarves are really good in the business realm. Our last race, which are the humans. The humans have their own perks as well. So humans are trustworthy. So they get this +1 to charisma, seduction, and persuasion against other humans. And they're also very, they have high ingenuity. So they get a +1 to deduction, figuring things out. And then they're blindly stubborn, according to the book. And so that they're allowed to re-roll a resist coercion and courage roll